the count?
Yes, ma'am. She has both the knee amputation.
Okay, she has one leg.
One leg, yes,
That's
ma'am.
partially amputated.
Yeah, she has a prosthetic leg, which apparently they're taking with her.
Prosthetic leg was taken with her.
Yes, ma'am.
Neighbors say that this is the hill Zahra Baker would be forced to walk up on her prosthetic leg, while her stepmother, Elisa Baker, would taunt her.
She would slap her. She would pull her hair. She would cuss at her.
It's evil. It's just downright evil. Breaking news in the search for 10-year-old Zahra Baker. Police say they found a prosthetic leg similar to Zahra's. They found it near a home where her stepmother used to live.
We are taking your calls for those of you just joining us. Zahra's prosthetic leg has been found at a back country road not far from the road itself. And at this hour, the FBI inside the Baker home searching it into the night. I want to go back to Melissa Mullenbrock, who lives across the street from where Zahra's little leg was found. Melissa, isn't it true that a couple of weeks ago, somewhere between, oh, we've lost Melissa, try to get her back, Liz, between 3 and 4 weeks, Rupa Michelini, I'll throw it to you, they smelled a horrible stench in the area?
Nancy, that's right, but what we understand now about this horrible stench is this is an area where there were deer carcasses and animal carcasses in that area, which they did later find. So we don't believe that that's actually a human dead body stench.
To Dr. Joshua Perper, Chief Medical Examiner and author of a second book, When Doctors Kill. Dr. Perper, thank you so much for being with us. Dr. Perper, you have been a party to so many autopsies, so many searches. Explain to me what you are interpreting from how they are searching the backyard, not only with backhoes, but then sifting through the debris like they're panning for gold.
Well, it's very clear that this child has been murdered, that the child is dead. And therefore, what they do now, they try to recover the remains. And because the leg has been thrown away, most likely the remains have been buried. And now there is a possibility that they have been burned, but it's very unlikely. And in the examination of the remain is going to be some difficulty, which I am sure is going to be overcome in terms of identifying the body, but perhaps there will be sufficient indices, anthropological and DNA to do that. Then the determination is going to be what's the cause of death. Some of the causes of death could not be hidden if this is the result of blunt force trauma, which is certainly a possibility. Then the autopsy would reveal that. If there is stab wounds, also it would be easy to do it. If it's a strangulation or asphyxia, this would be much more difficult.
We are taking your calls out to Romy in Washington. Hi, Romy.
Oh, Nancy, we just love you so much up here.
Thank you.
And my first thing is kudos to the people who put together the music for your show. I have two questions.
Thank you.
Well, I have two questions. What led them to the leg? And number two is it takes time to cross-reference the leg with Australia, but can't they do a DNA testing from the leg?
Excellent question, Romy in Washington. Gene Casares, answer. I know you've got them.
Oh, I'm sure they can do a DNA testing, forensic testing, even latent print testing for fingerprints that would be on that leg. And as far as what led them there, we heard early in the week that Elisa Baker was with authorities in a dark SUV going to 3 undisclosed locations near where she used to live 3 years ago. This is one of those areas, it's believed. And Melissa confirmed tonight, Nancy, she saw a dark SUV right across the street.
Out to Lori in North Carolina. Hi, Lori.
Hello.
Hi, dear. What's your question?
Well, my question is, actually, I'm from North Dakota. But, yeah, my question is, early on in the search, when they had the cadaver dogs and it actually hit on the wood chipper, did they ever check inside that for DNA, or is that something that's impossible to do?
Lori, I think they tried to check within it for DNA, but, you know, Mark Class, president and founder of Class Kids Foundation, joining us tonight out of San Francisco. Mark, to go through an industrial wood chipper and actually obtain DNA after it's been used again and again for chipping wood is going to be very, very difficult if they could, in fact, do it at all.
Well, somebody put it together so somebody could take it apart. There's no question about that. It depends on how solid those hits were, how many dogs hit upon it. I suspect that, listen, Nancy, it was within 3 days of this girl disappearing that they clearly changed their minds, that this was no longer a missing child case. There was no ambiguity about this. They knew that this little girl had been murdered. They're holding a lot of information back. Maybe it has to do with a wood chipper. Maybe it has to do with something else. But they're very, very clear about what they're looking for here.
I believe I've got Melissa Mullenbrug back, who lives across the street from where Zahra's little prosthetic leg has been discovered in the last hours. Melissa, isn't it true that about 3 to 4 weeks ago, you and others noticed a horrible stench from the area, but you didn't know what it was?
Yes, hi Nancy. About three or 4 weeks ago, we had noticed a stench. Both me and my neighbors have noticed it. We are used to smelling different things from different animals who are unfortunately ran over. That whole area where they were searching and behind where my house is, by my house, is completely dark, turned very sharply, and there's absolutely no lights. So unfortunately, there is a lot of roadkill. We are used to smelling things like that. We also called the county a few times with the animal smell, and they did not come out since it's outside the city limits. So when we did smell that smell, we did not call anybody. We were not aware at the time that she was at a homicide case, so we did not call anybody, but we did smell something, yes.